Welcome back, everyone. Today I want to introduce you to Plan B. This is steel MS660. It's all OEM. And what we're doing with Plan B is we're going to take our 52mm clone top end off and put it on this one to run in the 85cc for Sawfest. I did get the okay to run 52mm in the clone, but in the rules it does say stock bore, stock stroke. And we got just about this much time left. So I think we can pull this simple swap off and just report the one cylinder, the 54mm for the clone saw. But what we're going to do, we'll take that highway top end off the clone saw, just bolt it right on this, swap the cylinder, swap the piston, and then this one will be my 85cc entry. Then we'll do the 54mm clone top end. So like I said, you've seen these all before, same regular 660, same as the clone. So I'll put these on my other bench, tear them both down, and then we'll start swapping everything over and see what kind of power we can get out of these. But I just thought you guys might be interested in a little update for Sawfest. This is Plan B that we're on to. We might even have to go to C or D or E, but I hope not, because we don't have that kind of time. But we'll get these all swapped over, get the clone 54mm ported up, and we'll see what we can make happen. Alright, stick around. So I had this factory 660 here. That's going to get the 52mm and become 85cc for the 85cc firewood class. And we're going to port right here factory top end off of the G660. Leave it 92cc or whatever they are, but it's going back to 54mm. We're going to port the 54mm factory top end, and we're going to push it even further than we did that one. That way we can hopefully do well in the 660, and this will be our big saw for the bounty log. But don't have a ton of time, and these are both basically the same. I might try and do a little bit of porting on this one yet. Get on our 660 and we'll see how everything does. But I just wanted to share. We'll have this, and once I get them all done, ready for a dyno, I'll show you that too. Good thing I tore it down, because let's see, yep, that mark right there on the top of the exhaust port, that is a nice healthy chip out of the plating. So it's a good thing we caught this one, because now we can bore it, sleeve it, and make something happen. But that's the irritating part. Did everything I could to make this work right, and still had some issues. So if you want to port the Meteor or the highways with the Titan nickel or Nickel plating, I wouldn't. So we'll try and get this fixed up in time so we can still run the clone and the 85cc. But I just want to show everybody that. Kind of bummed, but it is what it is. Well, here it is. Our 52mm that's getting a sleeve. It's all set up in the boring machine. And I don't know if you can really see down in there. Let me move the bar out of the way real quick. Up. Feed. You can see there's our culprit. That pretty good sized chip right above the exhaust port. But we got this all centered up. Got it set to take our first cut. So we'll get it close. And luckily I have one piece of sleeve material that should work just right for this project. So we're going to take this cylinder to about 56mm. That'll give me a little bit of cleanup to true up the sleeve. Shoot for about 4 or 5 thousandths press. And we'll transfer everything into the port, bore it, hone it, and report this cylinder with the iron sleeve back to 52mm. Didn't want to do this process, but the aftermarket plating let me down. So we'll get this fired up and see how a cut does. Not good. Got a little hungry. Hard to do one-handed there, guys. Get our cut started. Now this machine is not super heavy duty. I mean, it's just got a belt drive up top, so you can only feed what it allows. You know, you're not going to take 40, 60 thousandths out of the bore with this in one whack. But we're doing a good job getting all the plating out. That should give us a nice round cylinder to work with. And other than the iron having more friction than the plating, it's not going to be as smooth, not going to be as slick, but we should be able to size the bore properly, get a good seal, and we can do more with the ports, we can do more with the chamber because we're not worried about plating flaking off. But I'll be here for a little bit longer. We'll get our 4mm or so out of this, and then we'll come back once we're ready to drop the sleeve in. Alright, just want to show you kind of what one of the finished cuts look like. Like I said, the sleeve's a real nice finish. It's what it's made for, boring small cylinders. So that's at about 2.1. Got another 100 thou, just over 2mm to go. But so far, so good. Get our machine set, we'll take another cut. Alright, here's our finished cylinder. We're right at approximately 56mm. So we got it at about 56mm. I'll make a port map on a piece of paper, and then we'll get our sleeve fitted, and we'll get this all cleaned up and ready to drop the sleeve in. So wish me luck on that process. But I think other than the plating being a little bit slipperier, I think if we can get this sleeve fitted in and sized right, we can actually do a little bit better with the porting through the sleeve. But we'll see what we end up with. Cross your fingers. Alright, a little bit different angle, but you can see we made our port map. We got the transfer ports, intake, other set of transfers, and the exhaust. Now what we'll do is we'll get our sleeve all set up. I need to measure this bore real good. And we'll get our sleeve set up for about 4 to 5 thousandths interference fit. And I'm going to get ready to drop this in the toaster oven right now. We'll get it nice and hot after I get my measurements. And this will expand 6 to 8 thousandths. And we'll have our 4 to 5 thousandths press on the sleeve. That way when this cylinder cools, it'll be holding that sleeve. And even though the cylinder expands faster than the sleeve will expand some, but there'll still be enough interference fit to hold that. So I'm going to hurry up, whip this sleeve up real quick, but I wanted to show off our port map that we made. So we got the exhaust there on the right, one set of transfers, the intake, and what I'll end up doing, you can see our finger ports are pretty much gone. So I'll just draw them back in and go all the way through the sleeve. But we're trying to get this done, so let me go whip that sleeve up. So we have our sleeve set up on the mandrel right now. Already faced both ends, they're pretty close. So the length's about right. Now we just need to turn the diameter. This is just over 2 1/4. We got the sleeve at 2.258 currently. We're going to do 5 thousandths press. So we need to take it down to 2.215 and 1/2 of 1 thousandths. So I'll start turning this down. Once it's all turned down, we'll poke the holes in it, clean it up, then we'll be ready to drop it in the... Once we get the holes poked in, we'll be able to drop it in the sleeve. And here we have the cylinder in our handy dandy toaster oven. 450 degrees for an hour and a half, 2 hours. That ought to get it nice and toasty to where we can drop this sleeve right on in. But we will have everything ready just in case it wants to fight, so we can send it home in the press. So again, keep our fingers crossed. Alright, we got the sleeve successfully installed. See our starter hole in the exhaust, intake, transfers. Let's see this one. There's some more transfers. Everything looks like it's supposed to. We'll let this cool off a little bit, and then we'll bore it to size. Then we'll bore it and hone it to size. So far, so good. It's playing nice. Alright, here we have sleeves in. Everything's all cooled down. All lined up, ready to start taking a cut. So we'll get this iron sleeve bored probably within 8/1000ths or so of the finished bore size. Then we'll hone the last bit out on the honing machine. But it's coming along. Alright, here we have the honing machine. Got it all set up, ready to hone our 52mm bore. So we got the chamber cut, which is what I wanted to do the last time, but I was scared with the highway plating. Well, now that we cut it and put the sleeve in, we don't have to worry about any ring of death. Just a very little undercut at the top. I still have a little bit of sleeve sticking out. We'll address that later. But we'll get this put on the hone. Now, right now I have a 220 grit diamond stone that's used for honing like plating and real hard stuff. So we'll see how it does with this cylinder. But I'm going to set it up and start honing on this. We'll see what that looks like. Let me get it flipped on. Here's our honing oil. We'll aim it to where it squirts in the cylinder a little bit better. I've already got my dial bore gauge set up. Let me see if this is still sized right. A little big. Get my wrench set up here. Wrench here will just help me hold it. I gotta see how much we're taking out. Nothing yet. A little more. Closer. A little bit more yet. Let me try that. about 10 thousandths we have to hone out of it, so we got a little ways yet. There we go, there's a nice cut. Get a rag and I'll get my dial bore gauge and we'll see what it's measuring at right now. Alright, here's our dial bore gauge. So let's just see what we got real quick. We still got about 10 thousandths on there. Now we can get a little more aggressive and see. Some oil in there. Like I said, these are good high quality diamond stones. So we got fresh oil in it, so we should be good there. But it's all just a process. Well, sorry everyone. Battery died and we missed about 17 steps along the way. But we have this Plan B cylinder all ported up, ready to go. Raised, widen the exhaust. Matched the lowers, raised the uppers, added some nice healthy finger ports. Lots of intake duration, lots of duration everywhere. This time I wasn't scared to machine the chamber, so we got a nice small tight chamber. Now one benefit to this cylinder is it doesn't have the extra decomp plug, and hopefully our exhaust is high enough we don't really need it. But we got this all cleaned up. So we'll slap it on this OEM 660 here. This will bring us to our 85 cc's. And we'll hopefully we'll do a muffler mod. I think I have a straight shot for this one. I'll open up the can, run the straight shot. We'll see how it does. Then we'll do our timing advance and everything else. But real quick, I'm going to slap this cylinder on. You can see. Now those little divots in the upper transfers, those were boo-boos from where I made the port map. I didn't need to make those windows as large as they were, so when I poked the holes through the sleeve, those little, those were just in the wrong spot. We could just pretend that they help lube the piston pin or something along those lines. But here's the cylinder, so I'll get this cleaned up and we'll get it installed, see exactly what kind of power we can get out of it. Fingers crossed it's more than we had with the chipped up plating highway cylinder. Well, this cylinder with the chip plating. But let's see what we have. Alright, here we have Plan B. All put together, ready to go. Now, I will be honest, I already did fire it. It is warmed up. But I wanted you guys to be able to hear it, and it sounds really good. Well, we won't keep it running too long because it's still pretty late tonight. But I wanted you guys to hear it, and I want to make sure it was going to start again, actually. So let's see what we got. Alrighty, well, it still runs, so we'll get it put on the dyno and see what kind of power we made out of this iron sleeve. I did change the porting a little bit. I think these fingers are a good bit deeper and a little bit more exhaust duration, a little bit more intake duration. We could cut the chamber, so we got machine work, more volume, more area, more time, and hopefully more power. So we'll get this put on. This is bone stock ignition timing. No filter right now. Like I said, we'll dial in the ignition. Then we'll add a max flow or some other type of filter. Probably a max flow. But we'll get it put on the dyno. But I was just super excited to get this put together. Wanted to make sure it's actually going to run. Doesn't feel tight. But it definitely is holding. Definitely sealing. for the type of durations that are in it. So that feels pretty good. So we add some timing, and I think we can really make some power out of this 85. So let me know what you guys think. What do you think of this sleeve project so far? Sorry I missed some of the steps in between, but just trying to get this one done. And we've showed the sleeve process before. Alright, we'll get this one put on the dyno and see what it actually puts out. So here we have the iron sleeve, 85cc. I've already got it warmed up a little bit, so it should be close. This is still factory ignition timing, but we'll dial in the carb a little bit. No filter currently, just like the last one. But stock carb, stock ignition. This is just a ported iron sleeve and a Egan straight shot on the front. So we'll get this fired up, tuned in, and make some power pulls. Definitely happy with that. Already outperforming the plated cylinder. But let me get the graph printed off and we'll take a peek. Well, what do we think about that? I don't know if you guys can hear it, but this iron sleeve, it just sounds free, feels snappy. The RPM was actually kind of scary. Like I said, you heard that run there. It was still 4-stroking real hard at like 14,000. That's why we got this little peak right up here at 12. So this red line here was our third round of timing advance on the clone saw last time. This was pretty much our best run, or right up there close to our best run for the plated highway cylinder. And our blue line here, this was our first set of runs. There's no timing advance, no carb mods, no nothing. And it's already pulling better power up higher in the RPM where we want it. This was making all sorts of power. We're same displacement, same everything. Now for 85 cc's and the aftermarket cylinder with no chamber work, this one was making plenty good power, but it was making it 9 to 10,000 RPM, which isn't bad. But if we're trying to go fast, we need to spin the chain. Well, if we need to spin the chain, we need to keep the power up higher in the RPM. But like I said, this iron sleeve, I think I'm feeling pretty good. It's super snappy, it's super aggressive with factory ignition timing. So I think if we dial in that timing, open up the carb a little bit, I think we can stay 10.5 horse. Maybe if it really wakes up with some timing, we might even be tickling 11. But that'll be the next video. I was super excited to get these runs done, and honestly I'm still a little scared of it. I've had some issues with the iron sleeves before, heating up too quick, locking pistons, blah blah blah. So still a little timid, and as snappy and aggressive as this 660 is, well, we'll call it a 650 because it's 52 millimeter, not 54. But as snappy and aggressive as this saw is, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit to what more aggressive porting can do. This dip over here, you could hear it in there. That's the high to low transition. It does not like anything below 6,000. Just falls off like a rock. But that doesn't matter. What we worry about is up top, because we're not ever going to pull this saw down that low. But you can see, even though the torque's peaking back here, which I'm thinking, just like with our other one, advancing the timing's going to help push this torque curve up, which should only help push the power up. But you can see we didn't give up any torque. 5.66 foot-pounds, 5.67. So just a smidge more torque out of the iron sleeve, and we gained a good 1/4 horse plus. And like I said, this is no advance, none of that. This is just bolting it on, ready to rip. So I'm feeling pretty good about this build. And as long as it keeps seating in, that ring, that chrome faced ring should seat in, really seal that bore up, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the power come up a little better. But let me know what you guys think about this iron sleeve, these projects, everything else. I know I'm running out of time, so we're just kind of piling them all in here. But I hope you guys enjoy. All right, thanks a lot, everyone.